Okay, hello IP4. I'm Teacher Joe, and this is week 5 of our English review class. So far we've looked at the sentence and we've looked at nouns, and today we're going to start English chapter 3, verbs. So I hope you all remember what a verb is. Okay, so English chapter 3, verbs, lesson 1, present tense verbs. So today we're going to look mainly at the present tense. So I hope you all remember that a verb is a word that shows what something does or what something is. So there's two types of verbs. Action verbs show what something does. So we're going to look at these examples, and I want you to find the action verb in each sentence. So number 1, I lose my keys very often. I lose my keys very often. Which word shows action? Which is the action verb that shows what something does? Okay, I hope you know that the action verb is lose, when you lose something and you cannot find it. Next one. The fans watch football every weekend. The fans watch football every weekend. What is the action verb in that sentence? Hopefully you see the action verb is watch. Watch. One more. We arrive for school by 7:45. We arrive for school by 7:45. What is the action verb? The action verb is arrive. Arrive means like you get to the place. So as well as showing action, we also have verbs that show what something is. And we use the special verb be to show what something is. So we've got examples again. I am from England. Which word shows what something is? What is the form of the special verb be that we are using? Hopefully you know. Am. Am. Next one. She is a lover of music. She is a lover of music. What is the form of the special verb be? What shows what something is? This one should be very easy because it is the word is. One more. They are very good players. They are very good players. What is the form of the special verb be? Hopefully you know. Are. Okay. We learned in chapter 1 that sentences have two parts, a subject and a predicate. And we also learned that the simple subject is usually a noun. So you should also know that simple predicate is a verb. So let's look at an example. An enormous man eats 6 meals a day. An enormous man eats 6 meals a day. Forget about verbs for a second. I want you to find the subject, the complete subject. What is the complete subject of that sentence? Hopefully you found an enormous man. That is the complete subject. So what's the complete predicate? Eats 6 meals a day. Now, what word is the simple subject? What is the most important word in the subject? An enormous man. Man. So the sentence is about a man. An enormous just describes the man. Now, what's the simple predicate? The predicate, the complete predicate, is eats 6 meals a day. What is the simple predicate? Remember, we're looking for a verb. So hopefully you can see that the simple predicate is the verb eats. Eats. Okay. We know that verbs show action, but as well, verbs tell you when that action happens. And we know when an action happens because of the tense that we write in. The tense that we write in shows when the action happens. And today we're going to be talking about the present tense. Present tense verbs describe an action that happens now. So something that constantly happens in the present time. Okay, so sometimes we need to change the verb and sometimes we do not. Now, if the noun in the subject, so the simple subject, if the simple subject is plural, we don't change the verb in the present tense. So let's look at our examples. The musicians play beautifully. The musicians play beautifully. So, in the subject, we have the noun, or simple subject, musicians. That means there's more than one musician. We have a plural noun in the subject. So we don't change the verb play. We just say play. Next one, Alex and Jimmy sing pop songs. In the subject, there's two people, Alex and Jimmy, two people. So because we've got two people, we have a plural noun in the subject, we don't change the verb sing. And last one, the animals in the zoo eat their food hungrily. The animals in the zoo eat their food hungrily. Subject animals is plural, more than one animal. So we do not need to change the verb eat. We also don't change the verb if the subject is one of the following pronouns: I, you, we, or they. So we've just talked about how we don't change the verb for a plural noun. But some of these pronouns can actually be singular. I refers to one person, me. And you can be one person or a group of people. So, don't get trapped into thinking that you only leave the verb as it is when you have a plural in the subject, because we can also leave the verb as it is with a singular pronoun. Okay, so let's look at these examples. I revise before every exam. We've got the pronoun I in the subject, and even though that is only one person, singular, we still don't change the verb. So revise, like study, we don't change it. You recycle your trash. Again, we have the pronoun you, we don't change the verb recycle. We use our brains. So with the pronoun we don't change the verb use. They look at the parrot. Again, pronoun they, don't change the verb look. Now if the noun in the subject is singular, or if we're using the pronouns he, she, or it, then we do need to change the verb in the present tense. Now usually this is very simple. For most verbs, we just add s to the end of the verb. So, before we said the musicians play beautifully. But if there's only one musician, the musician plays beautifully. We add s to the verb play. Before we had two people who sing, but now we've just got Jimmy on his own. So Jimmy sings pop songs. We add s to the verb sing. And before we talked about the animals, but now we say the animal, one animal, in the zoo eats its food hungrily. So we have one animal, which means that we need to add s to the verb. So the animal in the zoo eats its food hungrily. And like we just said, we do the same for the pronouns he, she, or it. So if I say he recycles his trash, with he I need to add s to the verb recycle. She uses her brain. Again, we've got the pronoun she, I add s to the verb use. It looks at the parrot. I use the pronoun it, so I need to add s to the verb look. So for most verbs, when we have a singular noun, or he, she, or it, it's quite easy. We just add s to the verb. But sometimes there are other rules we need to remember. If a verb ends with s, ch, sh, or x, you need to add es to the end of the verb after a singular noun in the subject, or he, she, or it. So, The girl misses her mother when she is at school. Girl is singular, one person in subject. The verb miss ends with s, so we add es, misses. The goalkeeper catches the ball. Goalkeeper, singular noun, and the verb catch ends with ch, so we add es, catches. She washes her hands for 20 seconds, like I hope you've all been doing over the last few months. So the verb wash ends with sh, we add es to the verb. And Katie fixes her bike when it is broken. Katie is singular. The verb fix ends with x, so we need to add es. Again, if a verb ends with a consonant, so not a vowel, a consonant and y, you change y to I and then add es to the verb after a singular noun in the subject, or he, she, or it. So, Arnold tries to study for his exams every semester. The verb try ends with the consonant R and then the letter Y. So because it ends with the consonant R and the letter Y, we change Y to I before we add es. So Arnold tries to study for his exams every semester. T-R-I-E-S. He cries when he fails the exams. So we've got the verb cry, again, ends with consonant R and then Y. We change Y to I, add es, C-R-I-E-S. Okay, so we've talked about action verbs, but we also know that verbs can tell what the subject is, what something is. And the form of the verb be that we use depends on whether the subject, the noun in the subject, is singular or plural, or depends on which pronoun we use. Okay, so let's look at these examples. For the pronoun I, the form of the verb be we use is am. So I am sick of noisy students. If I use you, whether it's the singular you or the plural you, we say are. You are a smart student. For he, she, and it, we use is. So he is never going to win. She is the fastest runner I've ever seen. It is a long time since I've been on holiday. We also use is if we're using a singular noun in the subject. So Teacher Dennis is our health teacher. We use are for the pronouns we and they. We are nervous about the midterm exams. They are too spicy. Again, they refer to plurals and we use are. We also use are with a plural noun. So some students are too lazy. Okay, IP4, that is the end of this week's lecture. And now, before we go, I'm going to explain your homework. So, you should have this worksheet, IP4 English Chapter 3, Verbs Review Worksheet, Week 5. Now, Section 1 should be very easy for you. All you need to do is circle the present tense verb in the sentence. So number 1, the girls never learn at home. Which word in that sentence is a present tense verb? Very easy. Section 2, though, it's a little bit more difficult. So you need to look at the subject in the sentence and then write the correct form of the verb in the brackets in the blank space. So, the boys want to something their lunch. Now we have the verb eat. Eat could be either eat or eats. So, if we need eat, write eat. If we need eats, write eats. You need to look at the noun or the pronoun in the subject. So be careful with this work. Sometimes you'll just copy the word as it is. Sometimes you'll need to add s or es or change a y to an I and then add es. So you need to pay attention to the whole sentence. Okay, IP4, that is the end of this week's lesson. We've looked at the present tense verbs, and next week we are going to look at past and future tense verbs. So until then, stay safe, keep washing your hands, and I will see you next week. Bye bye, IP4.